What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another Marvel Monday. I'm Jordan Harris, and today we are reviewing Avengers Age of Ultron. And I was in the middle of liking this movie because this was hard. The villain plot and other stuff, it just didn't work out, in my opinion. But before we get into Age of Ultron, let's give a shout out to Disney+. I heard more X-Men films are going to be on Disney Plus added, except for Logan and the Deadpool movies because of their rated R content. So if you are an X-Men fan, then go and enjoy those movies, because I heard because number 1 is on there, and I forgot what others were added to it. But seriously, if you're an X-Men fan, like if you like Wolverine, then go watch it. I recommend it. But some X-Men films are not my favorite, so whatever. But I totally go for Wolverine. Anyway, let's just enjoy this review of Age of Ultron. And this is how it starts off. The movie starts off with the Avengers in a big battle against one of Captain America's greatest enemies in World War II, Hydra. If you don't remember Hydra, then it's okay. Because Hydra is based off of the Nazis, because in the comics, when Captain America came out with a few comics, he was fighting a bunch of Nazis, but later on, they later changed their name to Hydra. And it was led by the one and only evil dictator, Red Skull. And this movie, in the beginning, was pretty communist because of, World War II stuff. And I know they don't talk about Germany being a communist country no more, but still, they brought it back in this movie, and it's pretty depressing. But anyway, pretty good fight. And their mission was to get Loki's staff from, and if you didn't see the Avengers movie, then you didn't see how Loki used the staff and used it for ultimate power. And he used the Mind Stone, which is one of the stones Thanos wanted. So Tony Stark was finding the Mind Stone until Wanda was inside Tony's mind, having futuristic illusions of what will happen if the Avengers die. And it really scared me, because I was thinking someday you'll have an Avengers film, which is an ultimate big battle of fate. Also, I remember I saw another character, who's young like the woman who went into Tony Stark's mind, was super fast, and he was acting like, the Flash from DC. Iron Man takes the scepter, and also I remember Black Widow was making the Hulk calm down, turning him into Bruce Banner. A lot of other things. And I remember when they went back into the Avengers Tower, which was, the Stark Industries Tower, but changed it into the Avengers Tower. For Captain America, he was talking to one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, Maria Hill, and she said there were 2 young, superpowered villains known as Pietro Maximoff, known as Quicksilver, has the power of running super fast, and Wanda Maximoff, the youngest, who is known as the Scarlet Witch, and her power was telepathic abilities, telekinesis, and flight. And I forgot about other things that she had, but she was pretty powerful than her brother Quicksilver. And if you didn't notice, they were actually villains in the comics, if you don't read much of the X-Men comics. And the surprising part is they are the son and daughter of Magneto, but they never mentioned Magneto nor an X-Men character in this movie. I thought they would, but I guess Marvel didn't allow the X-Men films to be mentioned because of, separate franchises. But that's okay because we got to see new characters, which is why I like this movie a lot, because we got to see more characters and have them as new Avengers. So we later find out Tony Stark has a plan of making a special robot called Ultron. Bruce Banner said, "Are you sure about this?" And Tony Stark was like, "Yeah, I'm sure about it." And they built it days and nights, and things worked out. Then one night, Ultron came alive, and it was just an AI computer. It was talking to Jarvis, the AI computer, and Jarvis, the AI, died from Ultron, and he made a lot of copies of robots. The Avengers later have a party, and we got to see Falcon and War Machine. Then we get to have a challenge of who's worthy of pulling Thor's hammer. Hawkeye tried to do it, but failed. Tony Stark tried to do it with his Iron Man armor. Same with War Machines, but didn't work. Hulk tried to pull it. Bruce Banner tried to get angry and Hulk out, but did not work. Steve Rogers, on the other hand, pulled it, but it just budged an inch. And he stopped doing it, and no one was worthy. Until we see a robot, and it was Ultron sending a message. But it wasn't the real Ultron, it was just a copy of Ultron. It was making so much copies that you would be confused of who the real Ultron is. Then everyone was confused about who is this person, who is Ultron, and what is he doing. Tony Stark was just saying he wanted to do something that's good, but still, he made a killer robot. Think of like Schwarzenegger as Terminator. But as you may know, this movie must say for itself, it's Tony Stark's fault in this movie. Like, seriously, it is his fault. Totally his fault. I'm sorry, but I have to blame it. Really have to blame it. But let's not blame too much, because Ultron's plan was to steal a special metal called vibranium. And far away there is an African country called Wakanda. And as you may know, that's where the Black Panther leads his people as king. And we will later find out about Prince T'Challa in Captain America Civil War, where he makes his debut and then has his own movie after Civil War. And Wanda and Pedro, well, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, work for Ultron, and they start out as evil. And also, we finally get to see another villain who later returned in the Black Panther movie, which is Ulysses Claw, who is a Belgian mercenary who wants to steal vibranium. And Ultron found Ulysses Claw to try to make a deal with him, until Ultron had nothing but to do but just one thing: cut off his arm. It felt like watching Luke Skywalker lose his hand in Empire Strikes Back by Darth Vader. Then the Avengers came. They find out he's stealing vibranium, and when he steals the vibranium, it makes him super powerful. Then we have this big fight. Also, we get to see Scarlet Witch do little mind games by going into some of the Avengers' mind. When she went into Captain America's mind, this was an illusion of the aftermath of World War II. And when Scarlet Witch went to Black Widow's mind, her illusion was the dark past she had in Russia as a Russian ballerina, but made into a Soviet assassin. And when Scarlet Witch went into Thor's mind, the illusion was him in Asgard, and all the Asgardians are acting some kind of weird. I don't even know. But there were some pretty dark moments in that scene, in those illusions. And also, she she didn't win to Hulk's mind, but she brainwashed him, making him cause mass destruction in 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 a in an African country. And Tony Stark had no choice but to armor up in another suit that is bigger called the Hulkbuster, which he uses when fighting the Hulk. And Hulkbuster defeated Bruce, and it worked out well, but many people were severely hurt and some were severely killed. Later on, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were talking to Ultron, and Ultron was not just stealing the vibranium, but the most part of the villain plan was to take over the world. And I cannot believe they keep mentioning a Marvel villain trying to take over the world. And here's what I feel is annoying. The same villain plot. As a villain, they want to take over the world, and that's it. No other villain plots. But I get tired of it, but some villains I like make sense of trying to take over the world. But some that try to take over the world do not make any sense, like Ultron for a bit, because we don't know much about Ultron. We don't care what his plan is. We just know that he's just a robot like Terminator. So, end of story. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver didn't know Ultron was trying to take over the world, so they had no choice but to just betray him. Or Tony Stark, he used the Mind Stone from Loki's staff and makes a new robot, but made it into a good guy, and his name was Vision. And if you know, in the comics, Vision fell in love with Wanda, and one time somehow Vision couldn't have a baby with Wanda, but because he was an android, but somehow he got her pregnant sometime and had 2 sons, and they became young members of the X-Men. I hope in the future, when we have Vision and Wanda have their own TV series and on Disney Plus, we might have them have the 2 kids, which will be really great, and I'm excited for it. Well, not that excited because, well, whatever. But anyway, for Vision, he had the Mind Stone on his head, and it was super powerful. And still, like I told you earlier, that's one of the stones that Thanos is looking for. And the most surprising part was Vision was worthy of picking up Thor's hammer. And that surprised me big. And it was the greatest scene ever, because I remember where where Thor was challenging people if anyone can pull up Thor's hammer. He said the truth was, you're all not worthy. And that makes sense, because we know he's the god of thunder, but we don't know there's another person who can be worthy of wielding Thor's hammer, and that's Vision, and that surprised me. And I just thought Thor was the only one to lift his own hammer, but actually Vision can lift Mjolnir. So Thor, I think you're wrong. Totally, you are wrong. But also, I forgot to mention, I remembered Hawkeye mentioned that he had a family, and it was surprising because at first I thought he and Black Widow had a connection, a love connection, but actually they were just best friends. But in the comics, they were in love. Pretty typical, of course. But we got to see Nick Fury, and he was just living his life, not much as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, since everyone thought he died in Winter Soldier. And that's why I forgot to mention Hawkeye had a family. I should have mentioned that earlier, but that's okay. But for Ultron, his plan was to destroy a Eastern European country known as Sokovia. And if you know what Sokovia is, you don't have to know, because it's not a real country. It's just a made-up country like Wakanda. So, Ultron and his robot army were trying to take over Sokovia, but the Avengers come in, and the new Avengers are coming in to save the day. Also, with the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, they came to save the day. And Hawkeye saw Wanda feeling scared, but then he said, "Don't feel scared," and she faced her fear. And it was a big robot battle until Hawkeye saw a little boy who was almost going to get hurt. Well, was a little bit hurt. And Ultron was aiming the Avengers jet and was trying to shoot at Hawkeye. Quicksilver saw the Ultron trying to move the ship and trying to shoot Hawkeye, but Quicksilver went past Hawkeye, and Hawkeye didn't know that Quicksilver shielded Hawkeye and the little kid, and had many bullet wounds all over his body. And the last thing he said was, "You didn't see that coming," and then he died, and Wanda felt super sad. And the Avengers used all their power to defeat Ultron. Vision used the Mind Stone, Thor used his lightning powers, and Iron Man used his ray beam, and it damaged Ultron. But after that, with all the power Ultron got defeated with, last thing Hulk did was, well, punched him out in the air. And also Hulk went into one of the Avengers jets to go off into a different area that we do not know where he is, but we'll find out in a future movie if you haven't seen it. And the Avengers won and stopped Ultron. And now they're going through separate lives. Thor is going back to Asgard. Iron Man on the other hand, we don't know about Tony Stark. We don't know what Tony's going to do, but he's going to just figure out what his life is. For Captain America, well, him and Black Widow are planning on bringing in new Avenger recruits, which is War Machine, Falcon, Scarlet Witch, and Vision. Those are the 4 new Avengers members. And that was the end. Then, but in the post-credit scene, we later find a golden glove, and someone picked it up and placed it on his hand, and that was actually Thanos. And that really surprised me. And that was the Age of Ultron. Now, here's the 2 things what I liked. Number one, they pretty much had a good, they mentioned Wakanda, and also they mentioned vibranium. That's what I liked about it. Number 2, they brought in new characters, which is Vision and Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, but Quicksilver didn't last that long. But we had Falcon and War Machine join the Avengers, plus Wanda and Vision. So, I'm really sad that Quicksilver died. I wish he was in more movies, but still, well, we didn't see that coming. But that was really great to see, to have a quick appearance about Wakanda and the vibranium and having new Avengers members. The things I did not like. I did not like how Tony Stark built a killer robot. Now that is the most crazy part of the plot. Number 2, I did not really like how every villain plot has to be, I want to take over the world. That is just really annoying, and that's a villain cliche. It's deja vu. That's why you should have better villain plots, but not the same thing like taking over the world. So that's not great. But this movie was okay to me. It's not so bad, but that's how they wanted it to be. But the next movie we're going to review is Ant-Man, and I forgot to tell you, this movie, Age of Ultron, is the last movie of Phase 2, and now we're getting into Phase 3, where we get to enter more Marvel characters, like the Ant-Man movie. So, I'm really excited to do a review of Ant-Man, and I hope you enjoyed my review of Avengers Age of Ultron. And comment down below, who is your favorite new Avenger? Again, who is your favorite new Avenger? Is it Falcon? Is it War Machine? Is it Wanda Maximoff? Or is it Vision? Those are your four. Scarlet Witch, Falcon, War Machine, or Vision. Just pick any one of them. Falcon, War Machine, Vision, and Scarlet Witch. Which new Avenger do you like? And also, I just want to say thank you for enjoying this YouTube channel of the Marvel Monday. And I hope you guys enjoy your time at home. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay 6 feet. And reminder, Ant-Man next Monday. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy your day.